want them to not have to want to say no, more than they want to say yes. And that happens through building that connection. You shouldn't have an inherent sense of guilt. I was a realtor for a little bit of time when I first got sober because I didn't want to get back into the car business, people, places, and things. I wasn't sure if I could do it. Got into real estate, missed that grind, that face-to-face, that mental warfare that we have in this business. But I used to try to draw comparisons, and I remember saying to myself, like, oh, this is interesting. If I'm a realtor and I'm showing a client a house, and they want a 3-bedroom house, 2 baths, swimming pool, and a finished basement, and they want to be in Washington Township, and I show them the house, and they fall in love with it, and then they ask me what the mortgage payment would be, and it's higher than they wanted to spend, would I feel any guilt? You wanted me to find you the house. I found it. The same thing happens with what we do. We have to detach ownership from the numbers. We don't make them, they make them. We're not in control of them. Right now, of course, are we holding profit? Yeah, we're holding profit, all the things. But in the same way that the person selling the house is asking for over list, right? Detach ownership from the numbers. Don't feel like you're responsible for them because they're the ones that are responsible for them. They're either choosing to do or not to do what's going to get to their budget. I had a lady last night, wanted to look at a Ram, $57,000 Ram. She's paying $450 a month on a 15 Ram with 91,000 miles on the clock. Wants to be $450 on a brand new one, lease, the whole bit. And I went through, she was on a Warlock, then I went to a tradesman. She didn't want the wheels to be chrome. What if I dipped the wheels, the whole bit? Didn't want to put any money down, 1,000 plus first, that was it. Wants what she wants. I'm going to go to. I said, okay. I said, and I respect that. I said, but let me ask you a question. If you went there and found out the same thing, right? Which and I'm being transparent. You will, right? Because we all own the cars for the same amount, and you're going to find that. Once you do find that out, what's the next step? Like once you go back to the drawing board, I'm trying to save you the 2-hour trip. Once you go back to the drawing board and you realize that, okay, they're all priced the same, this vehicle warrants this type of payment, what's the next step? Do you say to yourself, okay, I'd rather pay a little bit less, be closer to my budget, and then sacrifice maybe some of the features I don't need, but I would want them, but I don't need them? Or would you say, you know what, I'd rather pay a little bit more, but get everything that I want in a car and get a little bit more bang for my buck? What decision would you make then? Because I do believe inevitably you're going to have to make that decision. I'm just going to try to help you make it and not have to waste 6 hours of your time. I want what I want. I want what I want. I get it. And I want what I want too, right? But right now, unfortunately, you have what you don't want. And it's a 15 Ram with 91,000 miles on it. Ultimately, we're going to make a car deal with her. We're somewhere in the 5s. We're going to paint the wheels, do all the things, $2,000 down total. But it took a while, right? It took a while. She was only emotional about what she wanted because she didn't have access to real data. Now, that's a situation where she can only think emotionally. She can't think rationally because she doesn't have the data to do so. See, most of the time we want them to think emotionally unless their emotions are working against us. Then we have to get them in a rational mind. That's tougher. But that's the game that we play. I mean, to your point, right? You have a parent and you have your son, and they're playing basketball. The son's 7, 6, parent playing. The parent lets the son win. He loves the son. He's not going to swat the ball in his face. Customers do the same thing. Once enough connections built, they're going to feel bad to try to beat you up. They're going to treat you differently than the person that they feel like they have to fight with, right? So to your point, by building that trust, rapport, and that connection, the magic happens. And this is, when this happens, we really win. You want them to not want to have to say no. You want them to not want to have to say no more than they have to say yes, right? You want them to be like, man, I don't want to say no, man. I don't want to say no. More than they even want to say yes. They feel bad to say no. You want them to not have to want to say no more than they want to say yes. And that happens through building that connection where they feel bad to say no to you. They feel like forget about their time. They feel like they don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste this guy's time, right? So yes, 100% to your point. There's a couple reasons why customers make excuses. Number one reason is they complain. Now more than ever, with social media, everyone has a soapbox. Everyone feels like, the second they get a runny nose, they got to tell everybody on Facebook about it. We're in a complaint-filled society that everybody has a right to express what's going on in their life. And they do. But unfortunately, it's hard sometimes to distinguish between what's really an objection, what's really an obstacle in someone's life, and what's them just complaining. We also don't know what goes on in their home life. Maybe we're the only person this week that actually listened to them. They know built into this thing we do is the customer's always right. So they're exercising their right to be right. So I just look at it as a complaint. It's just a human thing. It's an instinctual thing that they do. Number two, and I think this is a very important one, is stall. They stall. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. How many times are people stuck in relationships that they know aren't right for them, that there's got to be somebody else out there better for them, but I'm used to this. Fear. I'm surviving.
Fear. You don't like change.
You don't like change.
You come home, you got a dinner waiting for
Yep.
you. Yeah.
It's fear.
And you put up with things.
Put up with things, right?
You shouldn't.
And you shouldn't. But change is scary. And the unknown is scary to a lot of people.
Correct.
They say fear is an acronym. False evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. People being fearful of the future with no evidence to support that it's actually going to be that. But customers are scared to make decisions. They're new. They're afraid to do something different. So if they're not complaining, they could just be stalling, right? Not to rush, right? They don't want to rush into a decision, right? Number three, it's funny how much they claim to not want to do this. Number three, negotiate. They say they don't want to negotiate, but I believe every customer, you have to satisfy their need to negotiate. Nobody wants to feel like they're coming in and just saying yes to everything. They want to feel like they played a part in reaching that decision. Drew Marco, God rest his soul, right? Drew Marco, God rest his soul. I was in the finance office one day. He was getting a deal done through TFS, 560 score, got me the tier 1 like he always did. And he said, Anthony, he said, a good deal to me, a good deal is when one person's happy and the other person's sad. And then the other person's happy and the other person's sad. And what Drew was saying is that it's a give and take. It's a compromise. That makes a good deal. That removes any resentment. And when he said that to me 10 years ago, it stuck. I said, okay, it's got to be a give and take. They got to feel that. It's almost like a team building exercise. That's going to build rapport. It's definitely going to make for a better survey, too, when you sell them a car. Because they feel like you guys work together. You're part of the same team now. So they say they don't want to negotiate. They don't want to do the back and forth. But if that were the case, they would have said yes to the first pencil. They only don't like to do the negotiating when it's not working in their favor. If every time they sent you to the tower, you came back and the payment was $50 less per month, don't you think they like doing the back and forth? They'd keep hitting you back and forth to the tower. They want to negotiate. All these models, if you listen to old school sales training, Grant Cardone had a sales training back in 2000, I have on CD, and he was talking about, it was Suzuki, Pontiac, one of these brands were going to no-haggle pricing. It just doesn't work, man. It doesn't work. Even if they come in and you claim you're a no-haggle pricing dealer, they're still going to haggle because they don't trust us yet.
Saturn was known for that.
Saturn, another one. He talked about Saturn.
And that's why Saturn went out of business.
100%. They want to complain. They want to stall. They want to negotiate. Now, after I make sure I go through the litany of qualifying whether or not this is an excuse or an objection, at some point, number 4 is it is valid. It could be a real objection. They got a family of 7. They love the convertible. They love the Corvette. It just doesn't fit their lifestyle. But you got to make sure you make them go through that process first.